Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Shwara. We are back with the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. We are on the chapter 12, the verse 18. We have seen Krishna Ji saying that the wise is the same towards friends and foes, as well as the same in honor and dishonor. He's the same in cold and heat, as well as comfort and discomfort. He is free from getting attached to any side of the opposite pairs, which are the pillars of our human experience. So we project opposite pairs here and there, and we project value or preference, and then we get vasanas, and those vasanas sometimes they become very, very dictatorial tyrants, they're biting. And then when we see we are full of attachment, I don't know what's the best construct, if we get attached to things or we'll go around with all these things attached to us, and then we cannot even move much with so many things attached to us, attached to our minds. A mind full of attachment is a load to carry around, as we can construct and see. So the wise is the one who is not suffering from that situation, not to that kind of extent, far from that. He is unanimous, he is balanced, he has the Yanan Shak observer, as Swami likes to put. He has developed that strength going through all levels of Bhakti Yoga, as we know, on different levels. Therefore, since he knows that the pairs of opposite will come and go, when a favored situation comes, he does enjoy that. But knowing that too will pass. I love this sentence. It's around in all spiritual circles, all traditions, they say, that too will pass. How so? Everything passes here. There is nothing permanent. The only thing permanent, my dear, is the light of consciousness, which reflects upon your intellect, illumining every and all objects of experience. That light is your true nature, and that's the only thing never not present. That thing that's permanent. So he knows that. For him, things come, things go, and all is fine. He knows that he cannot expect permanence upon an impermanent world. I mean, is there a logic which is more simple than that? How to expect permanence in a world that is impermanent, is a flux of constant appearing, disappearing, and changing in between? Like that person who drinks coconut, he says, you should not, that does not mean that you be already thinking, oh my God, there is no permanence, I'm going to lose everything and all that. No, just while it lasts, enjoy life. You don't need to say, oh my God, I'm going to die, oh, everything is impermanent, what a tragedy, what a depression, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then he presents his famous joke, because in India, they don't know that Coca-Cola is a poison. And they have great value for Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. And it's very hot. And then in the summer, to drink a very cold cola, as they say, because it's, in my days, was not even Coca-Cola, it was Thumbs Up, which was a poor imitation of Coca-Cola. But you drink that, and that was an experience of bliss, and then when you drink, you start like with how you say, a straw, no? A straw, you're drinking, drinking, drink, And then in the end, it begins doing that little noise that you are pulling some air together with whatsoever is left. And then say the poor Jiva cannot even enjoy the Coca-Cola because he's there enjoying the taste, but looking that the level is coming down. It's coming down. He's not even enjoying fully. They just enjoy. When it's done, when you hear the, it's over, and that's the nature of life. Everything passes. Allow that. Things come. It's Bhagwan's gift. Things go. It's got Bhagwan's gift as well. People come together. They depart. Everything. It's a coming. It's a connection and separation. Association, dissociation. Bhagwan takes things away. Bhagwan gives things to us. There is no problem about that. Any mature individual will keep that in mind. It's a basic law of this apparent manifestation. Therefore, try to live without attachment to things that by nature are changing all the time. So understanding is everything, as I often say, Why to fight with something you cannot change? The law, the most fundamental law, there's no permanence. Everything changes. Everything that comes will go. So, and then in the next verse, he brings a different concept. He says that devotee who is the same towards censure and praise, who is a person of limited speech, who is content with anything, who is harmless and who has firm knowledge of the self, is a wise person, is very intimate to me because has understood my true nature, which is, by the way, Jiva's nature. So therefore, equanimity is a feature which reflects in the human intellect, in human mind, which is based on the knowledge of Nirguna Atma, true nature, which is his own nature. The moment that you understand your nature and then certain features which are human by nature, like emotional balance. So Nirguna Atma has no question of even emotion. It's not an entity who experiences any emotion. But the Jiva Atma, this reflected consciousness, he's going to experience some features, some qualities which are only possible due to understand of the true nature of the self. Okay, so I am the self. Everything is the self, and I'm not attached to anything. I'm not associated to anything. I'm not limited by time and space. Therefore, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to develop what? Just mental, emotional equanimity, strengths, to deal with the opposite pairs as they hit me with elegance and composure. You just say no, that's it. So it's the same. And then one other feature or characteristic of such a person is he does not speak just for the sake of talking. Because some people they have a volcano inside and a lot of rajaguna that somehow is there and a lot of the time is repressed, and then when they find a victim they start speaking. And then a person who is wise due to atmayana is a person of limited speech. Well, because speech should be used for the sake of communication. You want to communicate practical things of life, or you want to convey someone your experience, your knowledge. So we use speech. So Ramana Maharaj once said to somebody who came to him asking for more instructions, not just keep quiet, keep quiet, keep quiet. So give me something more than keep quiet. And then he said, be moderate with eating, speaking, and sleeping. At the time, decades ago, when I read that, I said, how interesting. Huh? he has thrown in there not only speaking, but eating, and not only that, sleeping as well. So sleeping is going to generate more and more tamoguna, and speaking is going to be like a distraction, or it's stimulating rajoguna that later on turns into tamoguna. Yeah? And eating, as we know, is going to burn out our system and make our body mind tamas as well. So moderation is the key. Moderation in everything, speaking, eating, and sleeping, according to Ramana. And he's okay, he's contented with anything. So when you know the true source of peace and happiness is totally due to understanding one's true nature, the nature of reality, the nature of God. And once you get to that understanding of the nature of God, and then you're gonna experience a peace that passes all human understanding. So he's content due to his mental state, Sahaja Samadhi, and this Sahaja Samadhi does not need to have maintenance. It's a byproduct of a hard and fast, well assimilated and internalized self-knowledge. So once you have self-knowledge, and then you're gonna be moderate with speech, and then you're gonna be okay with nearly anything, okay? Because you know that you have no control over the parameter, but you have a certain peace which comes from your mental setup. The setup, a mind which was properly resolved by the means of Atmayana. So the mind is at peace and content. Mental contentment has nothing to do really with Parabhada. Let me see. Excuse me just for a moment. So, as we were saying, contentment is not something really related to favorable Parabhada, because as we know, favorable Parabhada may give us a high, you know, but it's a defect kind of happiness, because built into it is the knowledge, subconscious knowledge that too will pass. All those defects inherent of the fact that deep inside that that is just a fleeting moment of mental pacification. So true contentment has to do with the condition of your mind. The mind has to be pacified. And the only way, there are two ways to pacify the mind. One is by Atmayanam, because then you have addressed the root cause of the problem, which was spiritual ignorance that compels people to run after to seems to be gain, maintain, or avoid it all the time, mental disturbance, running in the rat race of samsara to gain, keep, and maintain, escape, avoid. And the other way is by the means of yoga. Yoga lately in my Brazilian group, somehow, I start expressing it as an exercise of suppression of rajas and tamas, excess of rajas and tamas. Because when you go for silencing the mind to experience a momentary peace, you need to suppress rajoguna, at the same time avoiding tamoguna, because you don't want to fall asleep. Why I like to put in terms of suppression and avoidance is because even if you succeed in quieting the mind and experience certain peace, so it changes very, very quickly once you suspend the practice. So it's almost as if you are making an effort to suppress rajoguna, avoiding that rajoguna that suppress to turn into tamoguna. So you want your mind to remain awake with more sattva guna, but not for the sake of enjoying experiential bliss, but for the sake of nididhyasana, or at least upasana. So a mind which is content by the means of atmayana, a mind may be content by the means of suppression of rajoguna and avoidance of tamoguna. In any case, a yana is the one who has resolved the mind by the means of atmayana. Who is homeless? Homeless means to say no attachment to a house or anything. Homeless, Swami is going to explain, it refers to a sannyas lifestyle. They don't own anything, they don't have any property or assets, you know, everything was given back to Ishvara. No sense of ownership, of doership. So that's what it means, homeless. And who has firm knowledge of the self. So the firm knowledge of the self could have been the first feature here, because only with the firm knowledge the person is going to be equanimous towards praise and criticism. The person is going to be more quiet with speech and also actions. You know, he's not workaholic. Well, and he's peaceful and he's content with himself. He's not attached to properties, and that's due to the fact of having a well-established Atmayana. Such a person is the most intimate to me. Again, Swami, Krishna Ji goes about saying, dear to me, dear to me, dear to me. And we have to remember that Ishvara, Krishna, speaking as Sagunishwara, the creator, he has no preference or sympathy by anybody. And as Nirguna Ishvara, of course, is beyond any pair of opposite, including sympathy and antipathy. So dear to me is like it's so close to me that has become one with me without having to do any action, just by the means of recognition of I myself am the only reality, and the nature of my jivas is just same. That's all there is to the declarations of identity in every and all Upanishads. So we have several kinds of actions we do in life. One of them is verbal actions. No? Words, we use words. So uh, somebody gallant. Okay, so words, one mean of us to put words into the field, actions into the field, as I often say, when it comes to spiritual sadhana, we can do yoga sadhanas by the means of thoughts, words, and actions. And here he's speaking someone who is limited with speaking. The biggest example was Ramana Maharshi, that was hardly able to speak after 20 years of deep samadhi. But anyhow, we have to do actions, and some people are so rajasic that they run around all day long. And if they don't do that, they feel bad and they start seeing tamaguna building, and then they start becoming a little bit annoyed or depressed because they need to run around. Okay, and some people they are more into talking, 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 talking. So nowadays you can reach anybody and start talking. Nobody wants to hear to your talk anymore, and then you send audios, and most people don't even listen to each other's audios because everybody wants to speak to others, but people do not like to listen to what others are saying. So this is an exercise of tongue exercise, to produce sounds are words, and a wise man does not have the need to chat, 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 talking, talking, talking. Okay, if you see somebody taking over an event, talking, talking, not letting anybody talk and talk and talk, you can know for sure that this person is not really a wise person. There is too much Rajoguna operating and the need to somehow assert its notions and ideas. So someone like Ramana Maharaj would not talk, would just look at people, would transpire his profound realization, peace and love and compassion, silence. His contentment used to transpire as well, according to the reports. No attachment to anything. So again and again, I mean, I'm lately, especially since I got more in contact with new materials coming, the internet of his words. I'm developed more and more appreciation for Ramana. Okay, although he did not teach Vedanta in a traditional way, but in his own way, he was demonstrating what that peace is possible, and he was stating it clear that it's only by means of knowledge, because the self is already free, the self is already realized, is the only reality. So he was an example of most of these features that we see with the Yanni, no attachment to anything. He just wants to be in peace in one of his caves, but people somehow succeeded to pull him from the last cage and say, now we're gonna tell you where you're gonna stay, and we're gonna gather around you, and we're gonna make you speak again. And there he went. But he was speaking very, very moderately. So that's the thing with words. And then not really dependent upon respect or disrespect, and praise and censure. I don't know how to say that. Uh, so equanimity. Swami likes to present this joke. There was a spiritual event, and some high figures of Vedic society was present, and then people went with a garland, and then the guy who was the biggest, most famous was stretching his neck to get the gallets, but then the person put the gallet on the head of the person next to him, saying, "No, sir, I'm sorry. I know you're very famous, but this is for the yanni on your side." And then imagine the situation of the person, sticking his neck, and he was destroyed because he's not a yanni. He depends on validation, respect, you know, and so on, praise. So therefore, Ayani, on different degrees, develops this immunity or equanimity towards these things. Some people had a background being so criticized, and then someone may develop a little impulsive reaction against criticism, even after self-knowledge. But it's very little compared with what used to be. And furthermore, it goes with time. You understand? Goes with time. And not to talk about people involved with criticizing great people. So many great people are criticized, ridiculed, and attacked around the world. And then again, the example of Christ or Jesus, being ridiculed and nailed into the cross and so on. So a lot of gossiping. The mass, they like to be on the winning side of the game always, when they see that, politically speaking, it's leaning to the other side. Let me join my enemy here because I don't want to be on the wrong side of the fence here. So people plays like that, human nature, ignorant nature. People cannot stand on their own. They just want to do things which are politically correct. So I may make some jokes about in his class that go people go there and they are concerned if people are going to criticize them later on for their dress or they had a nap. So, oh my God, my image now is going to go down. I was napping. And some people saw it, and I know they are going to gossip because, as Swami puts here and there, people love to gossip. And gossiping is always to bring someone down. You don't see people gossiping to bring anybody up, you know? Human nature again, human ignorant nature. Swami presents another joke that I know he likes to say these things. He say, oh, he's talking that 25 years ago. So now he's 72, 73. So he was 50 on that at that level, less than 50 even. And he's talking about his health problem, which means to say he did not have much knowledge on how proper diet could have helped him, let's say. So he has a chronic cough condition, and everybody was prescribed medicines to him. And he would say, if I would take all the medicines, homeopathic, allopathy, and so on, Ayurvedic, I would have died, he says, you know. And and then even if I take 10, 20 different, I don't know which one is going to be effective at the end because I took so many. So he's trying to say, leave me alone. Don't try to tell me what's good for me. But the fact is that he was young and he was having some health issues, which is common within the Indian lifestyle, in terms of sitting around and eating a lot of carbs 24/7 and suggesting or comment. He likes this joke very much. The guy was he was just I would say first he says that a wise person just observes things and does not go after people to give them suggestions for their health problems, let's say. So let's observe. I was a little bit like on the fence because I had problems with my joints, and I found I had two options. One was surgery, and the other was to follow the suggestion of someone who was my student at the time, who was a doctor, a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon that stopped doing that to do a different kind of medicine, which is regenerative medicine. And then I fixed my two shoulders and my right knees that they were in terrible condition 5 years ago. When I heard that Swamiji was having difficulty to walk, I wrote message and I tried to follow up to suggest him to check the this field of medicine, which is all over India. There are clinics all over Chennai. And I never heard any reply from the people around him who I asked to let me know if they got the message and so on. I was going to call him. I said, I don't want to be another person suggesting, uh, you know, clinical treatments. So let him go with his own karma, with his own people. As a result, he did the surgery on his both knees. You know, we say a wise person does not go around making suggestions to other people all the time uh, without being invited. No, it's unsolicited. Oh no, my first wife, my God, it was pain. She wants to advise you with any and everything. She always knew better. So you become a pain in the butt for other people. People begin avoiding you because that sense of, I know better, righteousness and so on, it's very, very annoying to people. Awani nicely says, He says, I'm so glad that people are passing comments and criticism about me, and they enjoy very much. Uh, in society, people spend a lot of money in order to please others, and I'm pleasing others without doing anything and spend any money, just by, they enjoy passing bad comments upon me. So as only a Yanni would think in those terms. His mind is such that it can be very, very easily pleased. So this is another thing. He's content. He's content within his own mind, and as far as Prabhupada, he's okay with nearly anything. He's easily pleasable mind. Most Anyanis, the more sophisticated they are, more difficult it is to be pleased. Pleased. Everything has to be in accordance with all kind of classifications or categorization. No, so if there are 100 features for something to be perfect, to me, all 100 has to be present. Otherwise, there will be tough criticism. And the lack of understand that life is about ups and downs and upsides of things, downsides of things. There is nothing that is only up and perfect. They are particularly, and I would say there is an expression, they're fussy about anything and everything. If they like coffee, for example, they are particular about how much milk, how much decoction, I don't know, sugar, whatever it is, what kind of cup. If they don't like the coffee, they throw away the coffee. The more sophisticated the person is, more sophisticated raga the person develops. So it's very, very truth, because the more refined in any kind of sensory experience, the more refined you become, more sophisticated raga. When I was in Italy doing business, I began drinking more Italian wine than I should. And then I started enjoying, and I had a friend who was stimulating me because he did some course of sommelier, and we were going out after some business and drinking bottles of wine, and that gave me the idea to move then later on to United States, importing wines, which almost broke my legs. But the point here is I got to understand a little bit better what is a good wine and why is a good wine is a good wine. I developed a taste, fine, more sophisticated taste to wine. Once you develop that taste, you don't want to drink cheap supermarket $10, $15 bottle of wine, because or not, it's not only a question of the taste, but impurity, the knowledge that there are a lot of things there that are unhealthy to your body, and so on. So that's the problem when you developed finer and finer ragged version. Perfectionist people means what? They are very, very fast and particular about everything. Perfection has its good side, how everything should be there, now organized, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. To have that is wonderful, but the problem is that if I'm going to be disturbed by not controlling everything the way I want, any slight variation, my mind becomes miserable. We can observe and see perfectionists are generally irritated, disturbed mind people. They are never happy because they know that things could be always better. It's like something here, I say, ooh, I like this glass. Yeah? And then tomorrow somebody comes here and gives me another glass. And then I like this glass, this new glass better. And then when I use this glass, somebody bring me this old glass. I don't like this glass. There is no even a perspective. No, I like this one better, but I'm good with any glass. You understand? So that's the problem. The people, they develop those strange rugged version. Swami gives an example of keeping, how you say, a kerchief, kind of scarf on your head or neck or whatever, and then the style, the color, the way you put it. So people are going to be fussy about any and everything. Therefore, the one who is happy with anything that comes, and especially he's a sannyas. So he says, if you become a traditional sannyas, you have no choice. You better be happy because you cannot choose anything. You cannot do anything to get anything different. You accept every meal if the meal comes the way it comes. Just imagine you receive a meal, you say, I don't like it. There's no question. Everything is coming from Shwara. You don't behave like that with Shwara. Just rejecting Ishwara's prasads again and again. You eat what Ishwara brings you. One day, Bhiksha, not available. It's okay. Oh, good. It was time to do a fasting. This is the word which indicates that he's a sannyas. He means to say he's homeless, means that does not have a house on his own. But don't worry, he finds shelter somewhere. Very rarely we see even sadhus, which are far from being yanis, they always find some shelter here and there. Even street sadhus, they somehow get a plastic to stretch over their heads, and some institution that go there at least once a day to deliver some rice and dal. So you're not a householder, you just live like a sannyas. So I don't know. I mean, it's very tempting, Mark, no responsibility and nothing, just find a way to go in society and see if somebody is going to provide you with at least one meal a day. In the Indian society, in the tradition, especially in the past, it was a sure thing because the sannyas and the tradition was very much valued. But in the West, they're going to see you as a beggar, and chances are that you're going to have to dig over the garbage of restaurants, to find some dirt food. But it's a beautiful culture. It used to be, at least, so it still is, that what had such a value for the preservation of this tradition, this knowledge. So just imagine you go to a place where anywhere you go, people are going to provide you with shelter, some food, and they are happy to have you there. Okay, so you need to know how to behave as well, because you may get some reputation, like someone I got to know, and then you start going here and there, and wherever you go, you create trouble, and then people say, no, 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 I don't want you here anymore. But if you really know how to behave, and if you are young, if you're wise, if you are sharing good knowledge with people, and if you are part of a certain tradition, people more often than not are going to have to be happy to keep you there. But you need to be almost invisible, not creating conflict. Therefore, anikataha. How does the yoni enjoy such a mind? This mental strength is derived from only one and one source. What is this source? Atmayana, self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is the only thing that is going to give us this vairagya, this mental strength, this equanimity, this happiness, this inner happiness and satisfaction and peace. Knowledge is power, so I'm changed a little bit here to say that in the common common usage of this term, knowledge is power, because if you know uh, the behind the curtains tendencies of the stock market, you can easily become a millionaire and a billionaire. That's how all these billionaires made money. Okay, just stock markets. They have inside information, and then they make money without basically working. Nobody working can make money. All the transfer, all the richness that this elite makes is transfer of wealth from the people who does not know what's going on behind the curtain, and the people who know. It's a cruel game, but that's the game. Among various types of knowledge, self-knowledge, the most powerful, is the only real powerful, because no matter how rich you are, millionaire and so on, you are just yet very weak. Because if things do not go your way, you crash, with despair, and then you declare war against the entire world. The greatest strength can be derived only from self-knowledge. Such a person is a jnani. And then there is an expression here written in Sanskrit or something. When I got knowledge means the one who doubtless knowledge must be Vijnana, or Shrita means firm. Here means doubtless knowledge of what? Aham Brahmasmi, doubtless knowledge. I guess that passage in Sanskrit means that they have got, Yanni can say that I got this doubtless of knowledge in respect to my true nature. Did you look into that sentence?
Are you speaking about Nalanchayam?
Yeah.
That sentence? Okay, I did. And that says, just a second, my computer. What can the days do? What can karma do? What can the planets seeking me do? What can the true Lord of Death, Yama, do when I've got knowledge?
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Yeah. You are just free and independent from all factors that somehow uh, constitute the parabada karma of human beings, even from the higher lokas, I think, so to speak. The one who has got doubtless knowledge. So with this verse, Krishna concludes the description of the wise person conduct or a highly developed bhakta conduct, or yoni's conduct, or characteristic. Now, in the 20th verse, Krishna winds up this discourse. Let's see what Krishna says. Those devotees who keep me as the primary goal, those who faithfully pursue the righteous and immortal teaching as presented here, are very dear to me. So, Krishna as a guru, Krishna guru, teaching humanity through Arjuna in the battlefield, and then say, those who hear me and keeps this teaching as one primary goal, those who are faithfully pursuing the self-knowledge, which is a knowledge in respect to Dharma, righteousness, and the immortal self, which provides us with a sense of immortality, which is a feature of our true nature. Those are the most intimate to me. So the primary goal of life, it's the most important point here. So we have different ways Scripture presents the pursuit of self-knowledge. So it's a primary and it's the final Purushartha. So It's a primary because it's the only one that's going to lead us to true satisfaction, to happiness and freedom, and requires a process by which one internalize these teachings. And Krishna Guru is very, very pleased with Arjuna as a disciple because he sometimes he speaks as a guru, sometimes he speaks as Sagunishwar, sometimes he speaks as Nirguna Brahman. So from Saguna, from a guru, he says, "I'm so pleased with those highly developed disciples who finally enough have understood the value of this, these immortal teachings. Immortal teaching is going to reveal one's true nature as the immortal self. So I'm very pleased. Every teacher and every guru is highly pleased, for lack of better expression, when they find a very mature disciple or student, because it's very rare. Most of the time, he's just present the teachings to people, knowing that those are just seeds which are being planted in people's mind. And if the soil is not properly prepared, those seeds will germinate, but maybe on another time and space when the mind is, as the soil is better prepared, let's say. But when you find somebody very, very mature, so the teacher says, "Oh, I'm very, very pleased to find a mature disciple." Those disciples are very close, very dear to me. So they understood that this knowledge is the most fundamental, the final, the primary Purushata of human life, and so on. When he hear the description of such a yani, when he hear, naturally, the thing is, when we hear the description of such a nature, we all love to enjoy such a state of mind, the mind of a yani. So it's so attractive and so tempting. So it says that I'm free from all hooks, all attachments, and nothing can touch me because I'm free and independent from any kind of prerogative. Naturally, the question will come, how can I attain such a state of mind? So is there any shortcut? Yes, there are shortcuts, but they are going to do impermanent, temporary, fleeting results of mental pacification and mental resolution. Okay, you may have here a state of mind. Okay, by yoga, you may come to a certain state of mind, but if self-inquiry and self-knowledge is not established in that quiet, silent mind, so the mind is going to change back according to the Rajoguna and Tamaguna pressing that peaceful state of mind that change. And then the individual did not really obtain this mental state which is free from constant maintenance that I have just mentioned as an analogy, suppression of Rajoguna and avoidance of Tamoguna. Is there a shortcut? Yes, yoga, but it will give a fleeting temporary result. Or any treatment? No, there is no treatment such as electrical shock or nervous adjustments. Any therapies? I mean, my first guru was all about therapy and basic meditation. Yes, you begin with therapy. But therapy does not help much because even the even the therapists themselves, they need therapy, which is an indication that there's not much one can help. And even if the therapist was a yani, yet you cannot really force any transformation on anyone unless that person wants to take control of his own process and do a lot of work. There is no shortcut to enjoy such a state of mind. One has to go through the 5 states or the 5 states of Bhakti Yoga as presented in this 12th chapter. So what are the 5 states? Level of Bhakti Yoga, we remember Sakama, Niskama, Upasana for deity, Upasana for Ishvara as the totality of the cosmos. And then the last one is Nididhyasana. No, Nididhyasana does not come here, does it? Sakama, let me remember here, Niskama, and then Ishvara Upasana, and Nirguna Ishvarayana, saying which is Nididhyasana. Nirguna Ishvarayana requires most fundamentally or finally Nididhyasana. It begins with listening and reflecting upon the teaching on the intellectual level. But then we need to do our deep meditation, which is Nididhyasana, in which you invoke the teachings in your mind until you become obsessed with this direct realization, direct self-knowledge. And then it grows and it grows. This nididhyasana has to grow until it becomes a fire, mumukshutva fire, an obsession. I want to have this full conviction, self-knowledge. I want to have this certainty. I want to be knowing something which is not subject to forgetfulness or doubt. So nididhyasana can nicely be also presented as a very, 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 very fiery and intense mumukshutva. Okay, so it begins with listening, begins and carries on with contemplating, resolving doubts, and so on. But then ultimately, the student has to do the work which requires almost a desire that turns itself into an obsession. I want direct knowledge. I'm no longer satisfied with momentary results derived from the suppression of Rajoguna and avoidance of Tamoguna. And I'm no longer satisfied with the temporary pacification I gain by Shravana and Manana, with Shravana and Manana. Now I want a permanent solution. I want a hard and fast self-knowledge. And for that, I need to do the job, the work by myself. Scripture and the Guru does not help. I have to really do it. And we need to have the desire to do that, which requires tremendous maturity. Okay. Suppose people practice a certain type of bhakti yoga, which is called Dharma because it leads to immortality. This Yatoktam Bhakti Yoga, suppose people practice and what time of Bhakti Yoga it is? Dhamma, which is called Amritam because it leads to immortality. So he's referring to Yan Yoga most probably. Amritam means that yoga which leads to immortality. And not only that, Dhammayam means which is teaching in keeping with the Dharma, with the Vedas. Okay. So remember our tradition, we say that Vedas are considered to be the primary scripture, the primary source of spiritual knowledge, and therefore everyone has to necessarily follow this source, this primary source of spiritual knowledge. Anybody goes out of our tradition will called Nastika. It's just you are seen as a materialist if you reject the Vedas. And in India, the Veda teaching is so ingrained that even the great person such a Buddha, which is considered to be a great Mahatma, uh, was rejected because he rejected the Vedas. There are so many people who has rejected the Vedas, and lately, when I do my walks in the morning, I like to download some talks, and I have been exploring the talks of all kinds of people, and just to see what they say. Just some cuts here and there that gives me idea of their understanding. But there are so many people who, for some reason, rebelled against the Vedic tradition, and uh, and they don't offer anything better. It almost feels like an impulse that some people have to to rebel against tradition. You understand? I was listening today to Krishnamurti, and several clips here. I don't find his insights very bright, well, not at all. But one thing is there as a constant note is rejection of the tradition, rejection of the concept of God. There is no God. So fundamentally, he is one of the pioneers on the, let's say, new Advaita or direct paths, because they reject the Vedas, they reject the the notion of a creator, God, and so on. And then you go into and then watch the reality, and then keep listening to see if he gives them any hint, and then they give hints which are all experiential and this and that, you know. So they just go for yoga, the experiential things that you do, and he does not know how to explain how you can do about. And then in the clip that I heard today of 30 minutes, he was saying, I don't know what to tell you because it's almost impossible. It's impossible. It's only possible if you have a mind in total samadhi and so on, and then you're going to understand. But to develop such a mind is so impossible. I don't know what to say to help you. He was a very negative person, not as much as G. Krishnamurti, but both were negative because both rebelled against the status quo. But the base is they don't have understand of the value of a Vedic religion in which Ishvara appears as a lot of deities, which of course are projections of the human mind. But it's okay. Okay, Adyaropa and Pavada, they just criticize that those deities projection, and then in the end, every religion has different deities and projects, and then they do war against each other, and then they kill in the name of religion. Okay, now human beings they do war and they kill for anything. It's not only about religion. It's better to stick to a religion, but you should not stay there forever. You have to understand Vishwarupa Ishwara, understand Ishwara not as a deity, Vaishwara as the cosmos, and then the borders between nations, the border between this religion, that religion, is dissolved. And then when you come to understand and see Ishwara as the laws and principle, the supreme intelligence holding this manifestation in place, and then you understand the nature of Saguna Ishwara. And then it's not a blind faith, as he was pointing out, it comes from a profound understanding, which even this understanding of the understand Ishvara as the intelligent cause, and Ishvara as a material cause, manifested as the cosmos, the intelligent cause, manifested as the laws and principles, sustaining this order. Once you understand that, and then you got to such a level of relationship with the God, the Creator. But even that in our tradition has to be given up. That is going to be turned into more Adyaropa that has to be left behind so that you enter into the binary format, and you're gonna do your meditation or the contemplation upon the nature of Nirguna Ishvara as your own nature, the only reality. So it's a regular, it's a gradual process. And these people, they are so quick, they have a narrow mind, they see the things around them, they see injustice, they see people supposed to be with reputation of being highly religious, doing ugly things, and then they throw the babe with the dirt water. That's the best analogy. They throw everything out of overreaction. Those people overreaction. And my first guru that I cannot mention the name, the one from Pune, he did that. He rejects, God, the creator. He reject completely. There's no such thing. And he took the line of the Buddhism. So, and here Swami was talking about that in respect to this verse. This is the dharmic, immortal teaching which leads to self-knowledge and liberation. And very rare individuals are going to faithfully pursue this knowledge. And is the knowledge of that which is the ultimate purpose or the primary purpose of human life. So those are the high developed devotees, says Swami Krishnaji here. Krishna himself wants to claim that, hey, Arjuna, I'm also not giving my philosophy. This is absolutely aligned or conform to the Vedic scriptures. And then Swami again just picks on Buddha a little bit, say Buddha may be a wonderful avatar, but even an avatar is rejected if he has rejected the Vedas. It's another thing that popped in my mind when I read this is like when I was with Papaji in those days, Papaji was highly inspired by Buddha and the teachings or the tradition, and all those bits and pieces of teachings supposedly coming from Buddha. So Buddhism has infiltrated India, and it popped in my mind even someone like Papaji, coming from the tradition of Krishna and then Ramana that somehow helped him to understand reality. Yet he was talking about Buddha over and over again, not taking consideration that Buddha has rejected the Vedas. But anyhow, Papaji was another example of one of the pioneers of the direct paths as well. Okay, enough of gossips. We leave it for next Monday. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Shwara Namaste. Thank you, guys. Thank you, my friends, for showing up.
Thank you.
We have an appointment for
Thank you, Arvind.
next Monday.
Okie doke.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Nice class. Thank you. Okay. See you next week.
Bye.